I've heard it said that routine can be boring, that each day carries the same struggles and same rewards as the day before. I've even heard it said that nothing changes and that our lives are meant to be filled with nothing more than work, sleep, and demise. See, it's a mindset, it's a choice, and it's all in how we approach the everyday mundane. Every year, for the last decade, we have made the trek from Las Vegas, Nevada, out to Central Texas for the same purpose. A purpose that, sadly, so many families here in the U.S. deal with far too often: child custody. Although my stepson Devin resides with me and my wife full-time now, each year, summer break from school means, once again, traveling back to Texas to see his father. This year, me and my buddy Chris are taking my son across the country in true overland style. By deciding to overland across the southern states instead of the mundane highway, we could only hope to find missing pieces of history, secluded places, and unseen beauty that so often gets overlooked when sticking to a routine. This is a boys-only trip intended to bring us closer together, to assist us in our growth as a group when it comes to overlanding, and, not to mention, will give us a chance to really see the beauty that lies in the southern states. So come with us as we conquer the expanse that separates our two families, and while we explore more of what you may not know exists throughout the southern United States. For yet another Jeeping for Beginners epic solo adventure, this is the Great Divide.
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
How's it going?
Welcome home, man.
Oh, so happy to be here. So my back is in the back. Vegas, baby.
Right.
Our adventure started out smooth. Everything we intended to bring with us for 7 days off the grid, and for basically 2.5 men, all fit in the Jeep perfectly. But the departure was rough. This is the first time ever that Devin would be traveling out to Texas, and his mom would not be joining. So, the goodbyes were tearful to say the least. But as we settled in to head east, my wife and daughter set out on their own adventure. Day one for us was a mileage day. As there is so much geography between Las Vegas, Nevada and Killeen, Texas, we had to narrow our overlanding goal to just one state. After all, ultimately, we only had 6 days before our deadline. So after months of debates and exploring YouTube and other social media for ideas, we chose to explore New Mexico. From the southern border through to the northern border, we wanted to explore, map, and share the Continental Divide. But our choice was not based solely on the geography.
Why are we here?
Actually, Devin, I think the better question we need to ask is, where is here?
Here we are at the Mexican and New Mexican border, and we're looking for an adventure.
An adventure. Why are we looking for an adventure?
I came from the east side.
And we came from the west side, right?
It made a lot of sense that we do the
Continental Divide
Trail.
Okay, so that was a little corny, but it was definitely fun to film. The truth was, there were no videos showing the New Mexico leg of this trail, and we wanted to know why. Of course, shortly after we filmed that one little segment, we found out that we were on private property and ended up getting chased out by a bunch of angry ranchers. The signs were not clear, we didn't know, but it helped us to understand why the first portion of this trail, from Mexico all the way up through to Loudsburg, was never recorded on YouTube or social media, because come to find out, it was all private property. So, we hightailed it out of there and headed north towards the Guia National Forest, where we found a perfect spot to set up camp, enjoy the sunset, and reevaluate our journey. So of course, when you're out overlanding and exploring, you never want to pass up the opportunity to check out some history and some cool sites. So our map led us to an old Native American protected site called Cliff Dwellings. A little bit of a hike to get up there, but we're actually kind of anxious to go see what this is all about. Apparently about 500 years old, and they actually lived in these cliffs. So come on, let's go check this out. For thousands of years, groups of nomads used the caves above Cliff Dweller Creek as a temporary shelter. However, in the late 13th century, people of the agricultural Magoan culture made it their home. They built rooms, crafted pottery, and raised children in the cliff dwellings for at least 1 or 2 generations.
You lug all these rocks up here or what?
This is actually pretty cool, especially knowing that all of these little stones and rock that they used to build these walls, they did by hand, and this was talking more than 500 years ago. So long before we had concrete, cement, tools, equipment.
They used mud, urine.
Yeah, they made their own mixture, and they hauled it all up here from down there so they could build these walls.
Spectacular.
I could see why they wanted to live here. Look at this view.
And the breeze after hiking was pretty phenomenal too.
We can actually go inside these dwellings and see what they did from the other point of view. So come on, let's go check this out.
Getting up there does require a hike. In fact, there is a sign at the trailhead that tells you that you will have to conquer a grand total of 636 stairs on the journey.
This is sacred ground.
Although it was obvious that some changes had been made to accommodate tourism, the majority of what was left behind was fascinating. But by approximately the turn of the 14th century, or perhaps even a little before, a great drought in the area forced the Magoan people to move on, leaving behind what we see today. Strongly suggest that if you are in the area, to check it out. It's full of history and mystery. This place was totally worth the stop. With renewed energy and a plan of action to continue our goal of following as closely to the Continental Divide as we could, it was time to get going. However, the trek through the Gila National Forest thus far has almost completely wiped out our fuel. So, in a quick search, we found a little less known stop in the middle of the woods that offered travelers fuel if needed. Though it came at a premium and was limited to only 5 gallons, it was a welcomed relief knowing we could get the fuel we needed to make it to the next scheduled pit stop.
Yeah, 5 gallons.
Yes, I did. Thank you so much.
So where are we here getting gas?
This is what, Doc Campbell's?
Yeah, Doc Campbell's close.
Oh, look, we got
Hey,
a...
that stick figure.
It's like, yeah, your point.
What a riot.
Once we made it far enough north, our search paid off, and we finally found a marked trail for the Continental Divide. From here on out, our goal was to cover the rest of New Mexico straight up through to Colorado without touching pavement. The Continental Divide is a boundary, usually represented by a mountain range, that separates a continent's river systems. Now, each river on one side or the other will transport water to their respective oceans, bays, or seas. In our case, here in the United States, the water that flows off the east side of this mountain range will eventually find its way to the Atlantic Ocean, whereas the water that flows off the west side will make it to the Pacific Ocean. But here, I think Devin might be able to explain it just a little bit better.
Continental Divide is the highest point where water flows to the west side and the east side
In the U.S., right?
in the U.S.
Yeah, okay. And it does go all the way up through the North America, but we're interested in the trail that kind of follows along there.
And at some point, some of that water will make it to the Atlantic and the Pacific.
Exactly. You got it.
This mountain range runs up through New Mexico, across Colorado, over and up through Idaho and Montana, and then up into Canada. Eventually, we plan to visit the entire mountain range. However, as I mentioned, for this trip, our time allotted will only allow us to explore about 900 miles of it. Although the highest peak we will visit is over 8,000 feet, this will pale in comparison to the highest peaks we will find along the way.
So, on the official Continental Divide trail, we've got a lot of miles to make up because we spent too much time trying to figure out how to do the first portion, and now that we're on the basic trail that'll lead us through, we've still got 3/4 of the state of New Mexico to hit, and we're already 3 days into our journey. So we're gonna hit the Hyperlapse button, and we're gonna see if we could just fly right through this. What do you say, Chris?
Sounds like a plan to me. We got a pretty decent road here, even though it's still a trail. And we've got a great view, so we're going to go soak that in on the way through.
Absolutely. How about you, kid? You ready? All right, let's go conquer the Continental Divide, shall we?
Woo! Do this!
Yeah.
I can hear the demons call when they do what they do. And now I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. I just gotta get through, I just gotta get through. Cause I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. Sometimes I feel like all is lost, but I know it's not true.
Interestingly enough, though, we found that the further north we traveled, the more steeped into Native American history we became. We also discovered that so many of the tribes still remained self-contained and quarantined from COVID-19. In fact, in several areas where we met some of by far the most amazing people ever, we were politely asked not to film or keep a digital record. One thing we did learn from one of the tribal leaders, though, was the far-reaching impact that COVID had on their people. In fact, even the CDC confirms that the mortality rate among the Native Americans, especially those on the reservations, was higher than any other racial or ethnic group, which explained why most places that we wanted to visit remained closed, and those that were open, primarily only small businesses and food supply, were still enforcing a mask mandate well into 2023. As if the history of our Native Americans were not sad enough, over the last 2 years, their nation has lost over 200,000 men, women, and children to COVID. That is nearly 3 times the number of the CDC reported for the entire United States during the COVID pandemic. Yet, everyone we met from the Navajo to the Apache were by far the happiest and most hospitable people we have ever come across so far on our journeys. So, out of respect for their wishes and their land, we bypassed a portion of the Continental Divide itself and headed north towards the Santa Fe National Forest. But our journey quickly found another major hiccup. we found a beautiful trail that led us up into the mountains once again. The views were amazing. In fact, we were simply not expecting the amount of greenery that we found, considering we were in a state mostly known to be a desert. At one point, we took a break to get our feet wet in the beautiful valley filled with streams and wildlife. But we had miles to cover, and up till now, all side adventures and stops that we had made had set us way behind on our goal. We had a deadline to make it to Texas, but before we turned our sails to venture east, we insisted on making it to the Colorado state line. So, we needed to make up time. We found a dirt road that was smooth enough to allow us some speed, and we turned our sights to head north once more. But before we could really make any ground,
Whoa.
What's that? Is that smoke we were
Is that a
looking at
dust
last
storm?
night? No, that's smoke, dude.
No, dude, that looks like fire.
Should I be concerned?
Well, that's kind of in the direction we're going.
We're going that way.
Well, we're trying to follow that ridge of mountains for the Continental Divide.
Look, it even comes off here to the right.
Let's see. Let me see if I can zoom in with this camera.
What direction are we facing right now? West? Exactly?
We are facing west exactly.
I'm concerned and kind of scared.
West. That's that way. That's over here. We're going to be skirting that pretty close. I mean, we are supposed to be turning a little more north, but we're going like directly towards it right now. What do you think? You want to keep trucking until we can't truck no more?
Well, I wasn't expecting this trip to be cut short by forest fires.
Nope.
I actually half expected Mother Nature to beat us up like it did last year, but it's been beautiful weather.
I didn't think we were going to be smoked to death.
Well, I mean, distance-wise, I mean, that's still a good distance away, Chris.
I don't want to die.
And we, look right here. I mean, this is, I think, the section we're on, and that is pointing directly west.
I don't want to die a virgin.
And it is supposed to turn and go north.
Up here. Turn and go that way.
Right.
And we're looking
over here.
So we might be okay. Well, if we bump into any forest rangers saying that we need to turn around.
Yep.
We will do so.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of spots to hop back on the highway. We could always jump past it.
We could maybe grab this 59 and go directly east that way.
And right.
Instead of sneaking up this way, because we were going to plan to go that way. But
so we had to make yet another detour, which led to pushing through the night. And good morning. It is day 4 of our journey across the Continental Divide here in New Mexico. We had to bypass some forest fires last night, and we were asked not to publish any of the footage that we got from that. So it was kind of a late night. We ended up circling down to Pie Town, and then we found a campsite around 11 o'clock, but we decided to get an early start and to get going. It is a beautiful morning. We got some miles to make up so we can catch back up to where we're supposed to be on the divide as of right now. The goal is still by tomorrow night to make it to Colorado, so no more wasting time. let's get going. So we are about 8,600 feet up, still haven't reached the peak. It is the perfect weather for our adventure. This was unbelievable. We accidentally picked the best time of year to come. In fact, we even looked, and where Chris is from in Maine, it has rained every single day since he's been gone. And where me and Devin are from out in Las Vegas, it has been windy and cold and rainy almost every day. So we really could not have asked for anything better. But these sights, these views are absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, people knock the New Mexico leg of the Continental Divide, but you guys got to get out here and see this side of New Mexico. The Native American history, the beauty, the mountains. This is unbelievable. All right, so this is the side of the Jeep, and this kind of tells the whole story. So this dirt that's right here, this came from Las Vegas, okay? And then you've got this red mud here. This was the central part of New Mexico. And now we've got these splashes of more like clay mud that's getting on the side, and this is the northern part of New Mexico. So we're actually using the side of the Jeep as a geographical painting for where we've traveled. But to compare, this dirt here is just because he could not sit still. And so now we got to wash him off before he gets in the Jeep because it's all over his butt.
You dirty rat.
I say it's badge of honor.
What's up?
That's all you got?
We get a rock.
We're having fajitas for dinner tonight.
Here we go.
And secret ingredient. This is what makes it juicy. So just because you're sleeping in the woods doesn't mean you can't have a really good home-cooked meal. Nice.
This part of the trail has definitely given me insights into New Mexico that I never really expected.
This has definitely been an experience I wasn't expecting. It's the morning of day 5. The weather was just perfect, and we were all in good spirits. So, with only a few remaining miles to conquer, we were getting excited that this year we were going to reach the goal that we set for ourselves. Now, for those that remember, last year Chris and I took on a trail that was rated 1 out of 10 to cross the entire state of Utah. But we had our asses handed to us due to, well, the weather, which when you're out overlanding alone can easily happen, especially when you are not prepared. Mother Nature turned our 1 out of 10 rated trail into nearly an impossible situation. but learning from the mistakes we made in judgment and the errors we made in planning, this year we remained confident we were going to make our goal. Now, as we remain on a dirt road, insisting on staying as close to this imaginary line of the Continental Divide as we could not help but get frustrated hitting yet another closed and locked gate.
And we are just not quite there.
Once again, blocked. That's the part that bothers me, is if it's not passable or it's private land and it's got a locked gate, you know, then shouldn't that be recorded on Google Maps? Like, you can't go this way.
Right.
You know, it did that to us, what, 3 times yesterday?
Yeah.
Brought us up against a locked gate and said, you need to continue. Like, we can't. I mean, I could, but we're trying to respect the land that we're on.
I just added a lane closer to the map.
Okay.
So we turned around and headed for the last possible chance where we could have to accomplish our goal without having to use a main road.
According to GPS, right around this corner, we should be staring at Colorado. On a dirt road, we should see a sign, right?
I don't know. This is a pretty primitive road, so maybe, maybe not.
Well, Chris, look at that. From the looks of it, we might have actually accomplished what we set out to accomplish this year.
Because that says, that's the dotted line right there. The invisible line.
Invisible line. I don't.
Right up.
I'm not seeing a sign.
Nope, that's not a sign.
Nope, that's not a sign. Nope, we're about to cross over it.
Yep.
Is it right over? Must be like right on this ridge.
And that says we're past it.
So we're in Colorado.
Yep.
You did it.
So
we did it. We went all the way from the Mexican border to the Colorado border.
And the majority of which we did it on dirt roads. All right.
All right.
So
we did
now,
it. It's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. So let's mark this on the GPS and on your map so we know where we're meeting, because we're going to pick up from here on the next adventure.
Though it was anticlimactic, with no sign welcoming us to Colorado, where we could take pictures, we were all simply thrilled that we made it.
I'll mark the map. We'll be good to go.
We did it. We did
We
it.
did.
We did it. Hooray. Yeah, we did it.
All right.
This is so cool.
We started this journey officially on Sunday morning in southern New Mexico, along the border of the country of Mexico. We gave ourselves 5 days to cover 936 miles from there to the Colorado border. We had no map, no trail to follow, just a determination to explore. So, did we learn anything from this experience?
A couple things that I've learned or that I've gotten out of this is timing. We, as a unit, this is the 3rd year that we've gotten together and gone out and explored something. 2 years ago, we went to Moab, Utah. Last year, you and I went up to northern Utah. This year, we're exploring New Mexico. This year, I think, brought a lot more to the realization of what was necessary to bring with us versus what really wasn't necessary to bring with us. So, since we spent so much time yesterday trying to get through or around Native American land, when we rolled into camp, we actually rolled in on fumes. So it's a good thing
We have a little bit of extra fuel.
I've learned that I am more capable of doing things that I didn't think I could do. Moved a log. I didn't think I could do that. Apparently I can do that.
So Chris, what has been your favorite part of this journey so far?
Definitely say the most comfortable part is being up here in the northern part of New Mexico. I loved also being around the Native American heritage and learning about that. I've read a lot in books about the culture, but seeing it firsthand, interacting with the people that were here, especially when we were just coming onto the reservation, was really nice, and I really appreciated their beautiful culture and the way they treated us.
We will return to our journey in just a few months to conquer yet the next leg of the Great Divide, running up through Colorado and into Wyoming. And believe me, we are extremely excited about that leg of our journey for sure. But for now, we had to point our vessel east and continue on to Central Texas. Quickly, the weather then became fierce. We were blasted by thunderstorms and rain throughout almost all of Texas. Then, we were welcomed by the humid Texas heat as we dropped Devin off with his father. It was a hard exchange this year, as our boys-only trip was far more of an experience than any of us ever anticipated. So, folks, thanks for watching and joining us on the first part of this great American journey. Be sure to subscribe and follow us so you don't miss part 2. In the meantime, as always, stay safe, happy Jeeping, and from all of us here at Jeeping for Beginners, we cannot wait to see you next time.
Thank you.